Alright guys, I'm finally getting back to working on this truck. It has been much longer than expected, and a lot of that's due to us just being really busy with orders, which I can't thank you guys enough for that. Hopefully we keep them coming, because that's kind of how we survive around here. But things have been going great, and it's just it's a real blessing. So that being said, that means my personal projects kind of get put on the back burner. Even though we are using this to develop products with, it just, there's only so much time. But this truck is going back in the shop, and we're finally going to get back to work on it. So for those that haven't seen any videos up to this point, feel free to check them out. But this truck had a 460, pulled the 460 out, put a complete 7.3 E4OD combo in it. That engine ended up having probably a cracked piston or something, and it threw a rod after about 150 miles. So decided that I'm going to do the swap that I've always wanted to do in an OBS Ford, and put an LBZ Duramax with a 6-speed Allison and kind of all the goodies that I like into this truck. So I'll go over the engine specs later on in the video for anybody that's interested. But before we can get it in the shop, I need to put it back together partially, because it's kind of turned into like a parts truck, in the sense of like it's missing steering linkage, and the track bar, and the steering box, and the steering shaft, and I mean obviously an engine, transmission, transfer case, but that's getting dealt with. So first things first, I got to get this kind of pressure washed and cleaned up, because it spilled lots of oil and coolant all over it. And then got to install our heavy duty steering kit on the factory Dana 60, install a blue top steering box and a Borgeson steering shaft and the track bar, so that we can actually move it into the shop. So I'm going to get started on that, and we'll see how it goes. Got new steering linkage in, new steering box, steering shaft from Borgeson. You can see all that here. New blue top steering box and a Borgeson steering shaft. And also put a track bar back in it. I can't remember why that was pulled out, but it was for some reason or another. So now it will finally steer, and it's finally going in the shop, and I'm just like super excited. It also means that there's just a lot more work to be done to get it anywhere near running and driving, but that's all right. It's gonna be fun, especially seeing it come together. Hopefully that gives me some more motivation, because this thing has been on the back burner for so long that it's just now it's hard to get that like stoke built back up. But it's gonna happen. It's got to get finished no matter what, so we're doing it. I'm surprised we didn't bring any weeds in with us besides all the stuff on the tires. Also needs a new bed. Needs a lot. I don't know, it's gonna it'll be done. It'll be nice one day. I could have had this done a lot sooner and faster if I didn't care about making it like as nice as I really realistically can, but I really just wanted to go, kind of wild with it. So this is where we're at. So here's the engine. Got some final assembly to do. Putting the upper oil pan on right now. Everything is powder coated. I'll go over all of that in a little while. But as you can see, this section of the shop is a complete disaster. We have a table full of Duramax parts. Under the table, old Duramax parts. Another Duramax oil pan. Bunch of powder coated Duramax parts that still need to go on. And then some other goodies, like fluid dampener, I don't even know, it's been so long. Injection lines, oil pan, fuel regulator, ATS billet flywheel, starter, and then over here, got more Duramax parts. Those boxes are all Duramax parts. All of these are Duramax parts besides this IDM, which is just being used as a template for making the bracket for these parts, but it's really time to get all of this stuff out of the way, declutter the shop, and go from there. The main reason that we have so many parts here right now is because it took 2 engines to make one good one, and, well, long story short, but that being said, I have all the parts from 2 engines. So there's just a lot, and I don't want to throw anything away yet in case I might need something. But I'm going to put this oil pan on, and then I can finally get it off the forklift, because it's just a little scary having it dangle there. But you can't put the flywheel cover or adapter plate or whatever you want to call it back on without taking it off the engine stand, and so it's been hanging like this. One cool thing, I got this, I think it's from Speedway, got it on Amazon because everything on this is powder coated, or like these are ceramic coated, ceramic coated, ceramic coated. And I really didn't want to just lay a chain over it and risk scratching anything up. So I think this is only like $120 or something on Amazon. And so far it seems to be working well. It's held it, almost 24 hours now. So I think we're good, though it does make me nervous. But we will go over all the specs of the engine in a little bit. For now, I need to get that oil pan on, and I don't even know what else. There's a lot. So, see you in a little bit. Here are the details on this engine that we are putting in our old body style Ford. It's a 94 or 95 F350, and it's getting an LBZ Duramax. And my whole goal with this was to make it have essentially like an L5P Duramax power, which is the current generation of Duramaxes, and just be really reliable. The hard thing with the Duramax is you're either building an engine that is capable of over 1,000 horsepower, or you're building one that's capable of like 650, maybe 750 at the tires. Some people will argue that, but whatever. That's because in order to go real crazy with it, you have to change the crankshaft and the rods. I didn't want to do that. This is supposed to be, the goal with this truck is essentially to be like my new Super Duty if I was to, buy a new truck. So what we did with this engine was basically just a bunch of things to make it run as efficiently and smoothly as possible. So starting off with the block. The block has been bored out 20 over. It's got a fully balanced rotating assembly, balanced crank, rods, pistons. It has Maul D-lipped pistons. It's got ARP rod bolts, ARP main studs, ARP head studs. The crankshaft itself has been keyed and is getting a fluid dampener, which should help with, you know, the LBZs are known to have a little bit of an issue with breaking crankshafts due to harmonics. And it's not that common, but some do, and I really wanted to avoid that. It has a stock firing order camshaft. Did not, you know, put the money out for an alternate firing camshaft, but that's basically what the block is. Out of the two engines we had, both sets of heads were bad. So these are brand new heads from GM. Everything on this engine is brand new, you know, that can be. Obviously the valve covers and intake manifolds and whatnot are not, but they have been blasted and powder coated. So moving up from the block, let's see, yeah, fluid dampener, keyed crank, and an ATS billet flex plate. So moving on from that, it's obviously had a emissions weight reduction done, but we don't need to discuss that any further. The fuel system, our Exergy Sportsman CP3 pump, which is just maybe like a 10% over on the CP3 pump, and then Exergy Torque Master injectors, which I believe are like 5 or 10% over as well. Should be plenty of fuel for 500-ish horsepower. On the fuel system, it's getting an AirDog lift pump, so just to supply all the fuel that this thing will need. The intake is just a stainless steel, I can't remember, I think pusher style intake that we're gonna modify, but it's been ceramic coated. The turbo is from Fleece, and it's a couple millimeters over. I can't remember how much, to be honest. I should have pulled the specs up on that, but it's, I believe, a Fleece Cheetah with a billet wheel, ceramic coated exhaust housing, and the exhaust manifolds are both ceramic coated. We went with BD high flow exhaust manifold on the driver's side, just because that's the most restrictive. The up pipes are from PPEI, I believe. They're stainless up pipes that have been ceramic coated as well. The oil cooler is off of an L5P, so it's an upgraded, larger oil cooler. The goal with that, you know, is just like, this whole thing is all about making power as easily as possible. So keeping that cool. It's got a high flow, high volume oil pump from, I believe, Dirty Hooker Diesel, and I think it's a modified Wagler pump. And let's see, did little things like the Wearley custom fab turbo blanket, try and keep, you know, as much of the heat from getting out as possible. Did heat shielding on the oil feed line, because that's where you get, you know, the majority of your degradation in the oil. I think that's the right word. I could be wrong, but moving on. I believe that is, oh, it's got a, it's not on there yet, but a PPE race plug in the fuel rail. It actually came with that, so I figured, what the heck, let's run that. But basically that's it. It's a pretty simple setup, but the whole goal is just to make it run as smooth and long as possible. I don't want to have to, after the Power Stroke blew up, this is what I wanted anyways. I don't want to have to tear this out again. And it's got it's gonna have multiple tune options, but I'm looking to keep it around maybe 550 at the tires. The transmission is a fully built Allison with the triple disc converter, 6-speed, you know, all the goodies there. Powder coated the same as all of the components on this one or on the engine. And that's about everything. It's gonna have a EFI Live with a DSP5 switch, you know, just for changing tunes. But that is the plan and what I've done so far on this engine. I think it's gonna run really well. I'm excited to hear it, but there's still quite a bit to be done. That's pretty much where the engine is at. This tube I know is upgraded as well from PPE, and I don't even remember what this is called, but all accessories, everything is brand new. So you know, just to make it as reliable and foolproof as possible. So that's the engine. Where did I put that hardware? Yours truly, kind of an idiot, but that's okay. Bingo, I found it. All right, now we can start this thing off. It is time to at least put the engine in the truck, because it hasn't been in there since I mocked it up with the, you know, when it was filthy and just freshly pulled out of the other truck. So I am putting the mounts on it right now, and then I will be dropping it in there. And I know I sound a little distracted. That's because I am quite nervous about this. I don't want to scratch anything. I don't want to break anything. Going through all the things in my head that need to be done, you know, just all the little things. Trying to think, is this the right time to put it in there or not? I don't know, but I think it is. And either way, it will make me feel a lot better just seeing it in the truck for the first time, since it's all brand new, and that's going to give me more motivation to finish this project. So let me show you guys what I got going on here. Obviously you've seen this, but right here is the engine mount that I designed for this. You can see a nice little CC there. It is very dusty, yikes. But it uses the factory Ford 7.3 Power Stroke engine mount bushings and bolts into the factory location. So you can see here we've got our frame plates, factory 7.3 frame plates, and then this is an engine mount bushing. So the mounts on that I designed for the Duramax bolt directly to the 7.3 bushings and should drop right on in there. So I guess I should stop talking about it and start doing it. I think the move for now is to bolt the bushings to the mounts and then drop it in. I've had this engine in and out numerous times, you know, about a year ago, and I definitely thought to myself, like, oh yeah, I will for sure remember how all of this goes. Well, that is not necessarily the case, so gonna do a little trial and error here, but I feel fairly confident on this. And yes, I am going to get fresh hardware for these. They're kind of a goofy size. The block threads are M10 by 1.5, which is funny because that's also a very common thread pitch for Euro stuff like Volkswagen and Audi, which anybody that knows anything about me knows that I also love those cars. So kind of fun. But I'm gonna get these bolted on, and then I am going to grab the cherry picker and attempt to put this in without scratching anything or damaging anything by myself, because it's after hours and everybody's gone home. So we shall see how this goes. It might get interesting, but we'll find out. I'm also very excited to get the front end closer to a normal ride height with some weight on it and not just, you know, massively lifted in the front. So that'll be sweet. Having some interference with the hood and brainstorming the best way to go about that without having to pull everything back apart. Well, once again, I'm an idiot, and I put the motor mounts on the opposite sides, even after I looked at them and referenced, but I was referencing the engine as if the front of it was pointed this way and not that way. So, one minor setback. Hold tight. All right, in case you're curious, 7.3 engine mount bushings. One side, the studs are centered. The other side, they're offset. So, I had them flip-flopped, gonna put them back on and shut it down for the first time since it's been assembled. All right, had to put the floor jack under there. I'm gonna disconnect this and then I'll show you guys around because I'm freaking pumped. Okay, camera adjustment. The LBZ Duramax, freshly rebuilt, which we kind of went over, is officially sitting in this 94 or 95 Ford F350 on Power Stroke engine mounts. So let me grab a flashlight and show you around. So first off, let's take a look up here. I could use an extra set of hands all the time, but let's just trying to be extra careful not to scratch the powder coating. But check out the turbo room and all of that. Don't worry, this heat shield's gonna get redone, but all of that clearance behind the firewall is wild. Then if we look down here, you can see the motor mount. Let me get a better angle. Up in there, factory 7.3 engine mount bushing. There's the room under the oil pan. The back of the oil pan is sitting on on the floor jack just because I don't have the transmission in yet, but you can really see this side for reference. I don't know how well it's going to appear in the pictures or in the video, but tell me what, it looks so dang good. So then, can't show you yet because we don't have the core support on, but the factory Duramax fan lines up with the factory Power Stroke fan shroud. I mean, there's room for days in here. Just compared to like a 7.3, it's pretty wild. Obviously, there's a lot of accessories that have to go on the front. The fuel lines have to go on the top. But yeah, I mean, that's pretty dang sweet. Look at that clearance to the AC box, which is also going to get rewrapped. You know, all in all, I could not be happier with how this fits. See the oil cooler down there, an oil filter adapter? That is for an L5P Duramax, which is like, I think the newest one. And it fits, I was worried because it's bigger than the LBZ, but it fits flawlessly. You guys, I'm so excited about this. And the goal with this engine, if I am repeating myself, I'm sorry. It's just, I don't have time to film all of this in one fail swoop, so it is what it is. But anyways, the goal of this whole conversion is to give it like a stock plus look, you know, like OEM plus. I don't want it to be gaudy. I don't, like, it's going to get used. It's going to get dirty at some point. Hopefully not too dirty. I want to really keep it clean because who knows, maybe it'll get sold. I have no idea. For now, that's not the plan. The plan is this is going to be my personal truck. It's going to get painted. It's, you know, just repainted white. It's going to be a really nice truck. Everything drivetrain wise is brand new or will be brand new. It's just, I'm so pumped. But that was kind of the goal with this powder coat color, is just a, you know, a clean kind of OEM plus look. And, you know, raw aluminum water pump, just because I went with a new one. I had a powder coated housing, but it had a bunch of like wear marks on it. So just went with the new one, you know, AC Delco. Same with the oil cooler and, you know, just minor stuff. But I don't know, I'm just super excited at how this is turning out. It's going to be easier to do glow plugs on this than a 7.3. They're right here, you know, you just bing, bing, bing. And injectors, super simple. They should all clear this if they ever need to be replaced. I hope they don't need to be replaced for a long time because they are brand new. But generally speaking, it's kind of crazy. I know this thing looks goofy sitting here, but like, it's just wild. Look at all of that clearance. I'm getting batty. Anyways, super pumped to see this coming together and to actually see progress on it. Like, it hasn't not been on the shop floor or the engine stand in, I don't know, 8 months. This truck hasn't been in the shop for over a year. And I know that really all I did was bolt some motor mounts on it and put it in the truck, but it feels good for me, and it's just showing that we're making progress. And the goal is to have this thing running in the next, you know, few months, for sure by the end of the year. Not totally ideal because there's gonna be snow on the ground, but who cares? So there's a lot of work to be done, and I am still waiting on my transmission, you know, just a built Allison 1000 6-speed. But yeah, I mean, it's just exciting, and I hope you guys dig this. I know, you know, it's not everybody's cup of tea to put a quote-unquote Chevy motor, it's an Isuzu, in a Ford, but I just like the way these things run and drive, even if they are a pain in the neck to work on, and I'm excited to do something a little different. So I think that's all for this video. If you want to help support the channel, we always appreciate that. We have merch available on our website, carrickcustoms.com. There should be a link in the description below. That helps immensely because currently this is just merely a money pit that seems to be bottomless. But yeah, hats, t-shirts, sweatshirts we got on there, and I think that's all I've got. Sorry for that little plug, but just had to let you guys know. So we will catch you on the next video, and hopefully by then we'll be seeing like core support going on, start plumbing up the radiator, start doing the intercooler and intake plumbing, and who knows, maybe I will have a transmission back by then that I've only been waiting over a year on, but we'll just not talk about that right now. So yeah, it's gonna start coming together quick, and then it's probably gonna go real slow as soon as the wiring comes, because that's gonna be its own bag of worms, but a can of worms. Anyways, like I said, it's been a long day. I'm exhausted, and I will catch you guys on the next one. Cheers.